Hello students, welcome to Turito live classes. Myself A. Swagat. Today in this particular session, we are going to having an understanding about the human excretory system. We will be exploring the parts of the human excretory system and then we will be proceeding like that. Let us begin here with the topics what we have done in previously. So, in previous session we were trying to understand the different excretory products. So, what exactly is excretion? So, those excretory products are from the metabolic wastes. So, this is what we learned in the previous session. So, thereby we were trying to classify the metabolic wastes into two types, starting with anabolism and catabolism. So, anabolic wastes and catabolic wastes. So, metabolism was of two types as we discussed in the previous session. So, anabolism and metabolism, followed by we understood the significance of removal of these metabolic wastes. Why there is a need to remove this metabolic waste from our body. So, that is what we understood in the previous session, followed by detailed understanding on various types of metabolic wastes. So, you have to understand one thing that different organisms are living on the planet here and we see that they all are having their different habitat. Now, when they are having their different habitat, suddenly they would end up having different sorts of food and exposure to different environmental factors. Certainly, that would lead to have various types of metabolic wastes. So, that is why all of these wastes have the common point, that is the presence of nitrogen. So, these metabolic wastes in the previous session we understood them as those wastes containing nitrogenous substances. So, as those wastes which contain nitrogenous substances, that is what we understood. Followed by we understood the various excretory organs. So, what are excretory organs and why do we need them? So, since we are generating the various sorts of metabolic wastes in the body, so there is a need for us to get rid of them. So, certainly just by having a simple method of just removing it anyway, it is not possible. Now, removing it, there is a way we use that way as use of these excretory organs. This is one good best way in fact to get rid of those metabolic waste. So, we need excretory organs. So, we try to understand that. In this particular session, we have planned you some sort of the specific objectives as in to see what exactly is the human excretory system. Starting with, we will be exploring the labeled structure of human excretory system. Then, we will see the dimensional and morphological analysis of the human kidney. So, that is what it implies, human excretory system, followed by anatomical structure exploration. So, we will try to anatomically what is that present inside the human kidney, varied parts, that is what we will be viewing there. Following which we will have a detail on ureter, urinary bladder and urethra. These are the parts of the excretory system. What do they do? In brief, we will be having an understanding. Followed by we will have a briefing on structural and functional unit of kidney. Okay. Then we will also look at the accessory excretory organs working parallelly with the kidneys. Although we have kidneys for the functioning of the getting rid of our metabolic wastes, but all those wastes from the body are not taken out by the kidneys. So, we need some accessory organs to take care of that extra waste generating throughout the body, that is to be taken out of the body. So, these are the objectives what we have planned for you today. So, let us begin here and we will understand what exactly is our human excretory system is. So, by now you are very clear with the human excretory system, you might have guessed it clearly. It is all about to understand the kidneys. So, the human excretory system mainly consists of the kidneys and you see a pair of ureter and a pair of a urinary bladder along with a opening through which the urine is passed out of the body, that is urethra. Our excretory system consists of these things, a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters, urinary bladder, urethra, right. So, these are the things what we have within ourselves to understand today. So, this is the what, let us jump into the understanding here. So, you observe carefully here, this is what the structure of the kidney would look like, and top of the kidney you see that yellow thing or arranged over it is basically not the part of kidney, and that is actually adrenal gland, and certainly you might have an understanding of them, because this comes in grade 8th and that is where you begin to understand. And one more thing I want to tell you, if you observe carefully, the left kidney you see it is arranged a bit higher than the right kidney. So, you see there is a mismatch in the pattern, right. So, the left kidney is lower than the right kidney. Okay. So, you have to understand, sorry, the right kidney here, because like if I stand like this is my right. Okay. So, the right kidney is bit lower compared to the arrangement of the left kidney. So, can anyone get me the reason why it is like that? Correct. I see many of you dropping an answer for that, saying that liver is the reason. It is the arrangement of the liver, not only the arrangement of the liver I am sorry, but also the shape of the liver. So, I am writing the reasons why it is like that. Arrangement, shape of the liver, and one of the main reason is size of the liver. As you all are aware, if I am not wrong, liver is the largest gland of the body, okay, and that gland's arrangement and the shape of the gland and the size of the gland makes the kidney to the right of your side bit arranged lower than the left kidney. Okay. So, that is one thing what you must observe and understand why it is like that. Following which I would like to show you. So, kidneys, we have two different types of kidneys, right, because of the shape what you see. So, suddenly we have a pair of kidneys, and you see there is a ureter. Okay. So, here also you will find this as the ureter, okay, followed by a bag like arrangement is seen here, which is actually the bladder. It is written here, it is actually the urinary bladder, followed by an opening, that is urethra. So, kidneys is the region exactly where the blood is completely filtered. All the tissues inside the kidney are functioning in such a way to keep the filtrate within themselves and give out the blood which is purified. And in order to do that, the whole structure of the human excretory system, if you observe, it is given with some additional openings, you see, I mean arteries and veins, you see. So, this red color one is the renal artery and the blue color one given here is the renal vein. So, artery takes in the blood from here and the purified blood, you know, which is free of waste, in that way it is purified, is passed into this renal vein and that carries it to the heart. Okay. So, when you understand that, this is the broad way of looking at the human excretory system. Now, I want you to understand further. If you see the human excretory system, basically we start with the kidneys. They are reddish brown bean shaped structure, that is what you have seen. Okay. So, they are reddish brown bean shaped structures, okay, and you have seen them arranged in a different manner. So, basically they are not available just in the abdominal cavity, like forefront of our abdominal cavity, it is not like that. They are actually behind the abdominal cavity, that is just quite close to the vertebral column, and you would see they will be just below the rib cage, and the arrangement you have seen. The right side kidney would be lower in height, whereas the left side kidney is arranged a bit higher in, that is elevated one, followed by, you see, that is what, the right kidney is lower than the left one due to the presence of the large liver, that is the size, and the shape of the liver also you must understand. If you remember, the shape of the liver is something like this, right. So, it is because of this shape you cannot have your kidney somewhere here located. So, that is why you see it is arranged somewhere here like this, and the other one is arranged more or less like this. So, hope you understood that. So, that is to make you understand, that is how it is arranged, right. Let us move forward. Each kidney has an adult, in an adult human measures about 10 to 12 centimeter in length, not longer than the ruler what you use, right, just 10 to 12 centimeter, and with a width of 5 to 7 centimeters and a thickness of 2 to 3 centimeters. So, looking at these dimensions, certainly we can make out that the kidneys on an average human being is quite smaller than the ruler what you use in schools, right. And you see the dimensions, 5 to 7 centimeter width is not so big enough, 2 to 3 centimeter in thickness is again not so thick enough, but still even if you look at the weight, not much, 120 grams to 170 grams. So, this makes us an understanding it is quite a small organ, it is quite a small organ, each kidney, there are 2 of them, right. So, when you look these details, it makes us understand that how well and how sophisticatedly it has been designed to perform the function of formation of urine. So, when you look at the outer surface of the kidney, that is convex, and the inner surface of the kidney is concave. So, that concave surface is having a dip which is known as notch, also known as hilum, through which the ureter, blood vessels and nerves enter. So, what that is mentioned here is, it is quite simple, I would like to draw it here for you. So, when you see that bean shaped structure, it is referring to this region in red color, if you observe, that is what is the concave shape, okay, and this is convex shape. So, this red color location what you see is having notch, and that notch is known as hilum, right, that is what is hilum. So, it is that arrangement which is concave in shape, having a notch, that bulge that dip inside the bean shaped area, and that dip or the notch what we see is often called as hilum, okay, through which you see the urinary ureter, renal arteries and veins, and you see the nerves enter into the kidney. So, that is the arrangement of the kidneys what we have here. Now, next what we see is the internal structure of the kidney. So, by now we are trying to understand the external structure, that is what is morphology of the kidney. So, we just try to look at the morphology of the kidney, the external features of the kidney, how big it is, what is its width, what is its length, what is the shape it is having, and how is it arranged. So, these are the details what we have understood. Now, we are trying to look inside the kidney, that is what is the shown here as internal structure. In other words, we can also understand it as anatomy of the kidney, which is to understand about the internal features. Okay. So, anatomy is a common word, okay, having a scientific meaning, that is to understand the internal features of a thing. So, here the matter is with the kidney. So, anatomy of kidney, that is what is referred to internal structure of kidney. So, a longitudinal section, when we say longitudinal section, you can imagine the bean shaped structure, if it is like this, okay, when you try to open it out, that is what is the longitudinal section. So, to make you understand, right. So, if you try to have a section through here, try to take a blade and try to have a section of it in this manner, you will end up getting this kind of shape, right. That means you would open it by turning it this way. So, it was like this, then you opened it like this, right. So, when you opened it like this, it will be, it was like this, you try to open it, So, that is what is the longitudinal section is all about. So, inside it shows the two distinct regions, the outer cortex and the inner medulla. So, there are two distinct regions will be visible once you open it like this. Okay. So, I want to show you the image, just hold on. Then you will see the medulla is divided into, that is the medulla is divided into multiple cone shaped masses tissue, that is known as renal pyramids. That means, medulla is the region into which you will find the arrangement of kidney like things arranged inside. So, more or less like this. So, this kind of arrangement you would find it that it is arranged inside the kidney. So, this one is completely abstract. So, I just want you to remember these features just for a while, and then we will look into the actual image which I will be showing you now. So, the renal pyramids are separated by a projections of cortex called columns of Bertini. So, you saw that pyramids how they were arranged. So, we need to have a need to separate them. That separation is done by columns of Bertini. Okay. And you see the base of the pyramid originates at the border between the cortex and the medulla, terminates in the renal papillae, that is projections. So, instead of reading that, this will give you a detailed insight to it. Now, this is how the kidney is, and this is the anatomy of the kidney showing different parts what it has. First thing I mentioned was the cortex. So, can you see this? This is the region which is known as cortex. So, it includes lot many things. Now, inside the cortex it was mentioned about the pyramid shaped. So, these are the pyramid like shapes what I was trying to draw in the previous slide. So, hope you are following that clearly, right. So, it is about that pyramids. Okay. Now, let us look at it. What are other features we have? So, here you see it is given as renal papillae, right. So, it is this region is referred as renal papillae, stands for everything as common, that is where it is. So, these are the arteries and veins entering the kidneys through this notch, following which you will see renal column. So, this region which is having space you see. So, that there is a separation between two different pyramids, okay, and that is done by a column like thing, that is what was columns of Bertini. Okay. Now, you see this region inside the pyramid is referred as medulla. Okay. And you will see the difference now about calyx. Now, you see the region here, if you observe carefully, the middle part of attached close to the pyramid is actually the calyx area, that is minor calyx area. And this region if you explore or if you ignore these blood vessels, okay, you would find a yellowish area which is large and vacant. That area would be our major calyx. Okay. And you see this closed region is renal pelvis. So, this is the arrangement which is internally present in the kidneys, so that each of these tissue has its own specific function, right. So, you have to understand that one thing, following which all these parts what I just explained to you is combined inside a structure called capsule. So, that is entirely inside it. So, inside the kidney. Now, this is how the arrangement would look like, and this is our ureter, okay, here. Okay. that would be following me attached to a urinary bladder and urethra. So, hope you understood that. Let us move forward and let us see the same kidney what we were looking here, the arrangement. So, this part of the kidney has been enlarged, okay. That will give you an insight here. So, this is what is the cortex and this is the medulla, you see, you know there are a lot of tissues are available, that is the region, and inside this each pyramid what is there available, that is what if you want to see, that is how inside it would look like. So, if you observe carefully, you would find these small tube like structures having yellowish in color. Can you observe that? They are known as nephrons, and these nephrons are of very important to us because they are the structural and functional units of kidney. Each kidney we have 2 kidneys. Each kidney will have just over 10 million nephrons. 10 million nephrons. It is these nephrons make up the kidney. That is why you might have heard of the people, you know, the doctors who deal with the ailments in I mean the kidneys and all. So, we call them as nephrologist. If there is some problem in formation of urine in the body and that is accounting to some problem inside the kidneys. So, a person has to go to the nephrologist and we see him treating about that particular problems. So, you see that. So, this whole kidney if you observe, this whole pyramid if you observe. So, this is a renal pyramid structure showing us region from here to here is the medulla, following which the limited structure is the cortex. Okay, that is the arrangement what we find inside our bodies, and those bulb like structures here are known as Malpighian bodies. They are named after the scientist who first tried to discover the Malpighian structures in the insects for excretion. So, in insects they are available. So, this is in broad way how the kidney is arranged here. You saw that how does the kidney looks from inside, how about the pyramid would look from inside, right. So, hope you understood that. Let us move forward. Okay. So, here first thing what we have to understand is ureter. So, how does this look like? So, if you look at the ureter, these are slender whitish tubes emerge from the pelvis of the kidneys. That means, you have, if you remember, the major calyx area and the minor calyx was having a region called pelvis. From there they will be having an extension to the outside of the kidney to form the tube like structure. So, that is what we are referring them as ureters. Inside the ureter you will find transitional epithelium wall. So, that is very much important because of that transitional epithelium wall you see that it forms the whole structure and carries the filtrate, that is the waste which is collected along with the water would be passing down to the urinary bladder. So, that opens up there to the urinary bladder. That is why we need the ureter, a tube like arrangement, following which urinary bladder you see it is a median storage sac, it is a sac like structure, okay, situated in the lower abdominal cavity. That means, if you understand, you get the ureters like this. So, these are ureters, okay. Following the ureters you will find the urinary bladder and it releases the urine through an opening called urethra. So, this is quite simple to understand. So, this sac what we are trying to understand is actually thick muscular distensible wall lined by transitional epithelium again, because ureter, urinary bladder are quite continuous in arrangement. So, they have the same tissue inside their structure. Distensible means it can able to expand, is not it? It can able to expand. When more and more urine stores inside it, okay, it reaches to a stage where it slowly expands itself. Okay. Now, when it reaches its highest capacity, it is then when it sends a signal to the brain, and that makes us aware that there is a need, urgent need of going to the restroom. So, that is why we use it like that. So, that is how our body functions, and we then go and release the urine through the opening called urethra. So, that is how it is arranged. So, the neck of the bladder leads to the urethra. So, before and after the release, what you have to understand here is the urinary bladder has an internal urethral sphincter. So, if you remember, I drew a structure like this. Okay. So, there will be a junction here, okay, there will be one more junction here. So, where junction in the sense a sphincter which actually regulates the movement of the urine. So, there are two of them, one is internally present, another is externally present. So, external sphincter and internal sphincter, we need them, children. Why do you think so? We need something to regulate the urine there. What if we do not have internal or external sphincter? Give me an answer here. Okay, that is correct. So, if we do not have them, certainly there will be a problem that we would not regulate the urination urge, we cannot regulate that. Okay. So, it is that sphincter, when the whole urinary bladder expands, it understands it, and even as ultimately it sends a signal to the brain, and we understand that there is a need to use the restroom. So, that is one thing why we have to understand. Now, here I want to show you the structure of the nephron. Each kidney has nearly 1 million nephrons. I wrote 10 millions there, I am sorry, it was about 1 million means 10 lakhs I meant. Okay, so 1 million means 10 lakhs. So, complex tubular structures called nephrons, which are actually the structural and functional units of kidneys. So, we need them so sophisticated that they cannot, they are designed in such a way that they cannot even afford to lose even one molecule of any ion, any nutrient, any molecule. If that molecule is useful for the body, certainly these nephrons will not allow it to go waste, they will protect it so well. So, each nephron has two parts, starting with renal corpuscle, which is also known as malpighian corpuscle. So, you have seen in that image those circular structures, okay, following by the renal tubule. Renal corpuscle and renal tubule are available, and that is what is malpighian corpuscle. We call the renal corpuscle as malpighian corpuscle also. So, followed by this is the arrangement. So, this is a kidney, and each kidney would have the nephrons, which you have seen already. So, this is the nephron if you observe carefully. Okay. So, this is the medulla, and the cortex, the other part is. So, nephrons is having different parts, distal convoluted tubule and proximal convoluted tubule. So, this is what I was referring to, this is just one unit of nephron. So, there is blood vessels passing through it. So, you see efferent arteriole, afferent which is entering the nephron, okay. And if you see this is efferent, it is actually exiting the nephron. So, that is efferent arteriole. Often children get confused between these two words, afferent, efferent. Efferent is something going out of the nephron, afferent arteriole is something entering the nephron. I have an easy way to make you remember this. First thing is, you observe the word afferent. Afferent starts with the letter A, okay, and efferent starts with the letter E. So, that makes it quite simple. So, A comes first, then E, right, in the series of letters what we learned. So, this will make us clear that A means it is entering the nephron first, E comes later. So, certainly at the later end it exits the nephron. So, in that way you can remember that. So, that is efferent arteriole and efferent arteriole. Now, so after you see the efferent arteriole, we have a ultra filtering system called glomerulus. This is the complete network of arteries, fine thread like arteries will be present inside this. Okay, this is completely the arteries. Now, this whole bunch of artery is present in a big capsule like structure called Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule contain efferent arteries entering inside it, efferent arteriole and efferent arteriole coming out of the Bowman's capsule. So, this is where you will see ultrafiltration of blood happens, correct. This is where the ultrafiltration of blood happens, okay. Followed by you see there are different tube like arrangements you see, and inside this, so this is a network of capillaries. You understand that is a capillary. How can you make out that this red and blue one is a capillary? Network of capillaries. Okay. So, it is quite simple to everyone to understand. The blue one is veins, okay, this is veins, these are veins, and you see arteries arranged. Okay. So, veins and arteries are combined together and they form a network, okay. They are very, very small, that is what we call them as blood capillaries. These blood capillaries are surrounding the loop, because you see there is a U shaped arrangement. That U shaped arrangement is known as Henle's loop. There are two parts, because descending limb of loop of Henle, because the whatever is filtered here, it passes on like this, okay, and ultimately it passes down. So, it is descending limb of Henle, whereas this one, you know, this one is taking the filtrate up. So, it is ascending loop of Henle, right. So, this structure, that is the vein here, is known as vasa recta. So, that is ascending loop of Henle, followed by you see this structure is proximal convoluted tubule, and this is quite far, is not it? This whole system here is quite far from the mainstream. Because this is quite far from this region, you can see the difference, it is quite far. So, this is distal convoluted tubule, right. Then you see this is a long straight line given here, to which different, you know, nephrons are arranged. One would be arranged here, another would come up here. So, that straight tube what you see here is actually the collecting duct. So, that is the kind of arrangement we have here, okay, and we need this kind of structure everywhere, and there are millions of them in each kidney. We need them to work in such a way that, especially this region, that is Bowman's capsule, that is where our blood gets filtered. The filtration is usually referred as ultrafiltration. So, ultrafiltration of blood takes place here. That is when you see these vasa recta, which is in blue color, you know, that capillaries network, that keeps up the blood to the heart and other function happens. Whatever waste we are releasing through the anus, you know, the solid waste I am referring to, that is also waste, but the waste which I am referring now and released in the form of solid is mainly composed of undigested food, and the expelling of that undigested food from the body is actually egestion or defecation. Whereas, this what we are discussing now is the structure which is present inside the kidneys and leading to removal of the actual metabolic wastes. Metabolic wastes means the wastes generated because of various biochemical processes or biochemical reactions. So, when you see those biochemical reactions are giving some sort of products and we do not need them to be present in our body. So, we have to get rid of them, right. So, that was done by then, and I want to tell you something else. As you can see here, accessory excretory organs. I mean, these are some extra organs we have in our body and they will help us to get rid of the waste from the body. These organs are actually working parallelly with kidneys. So, these organs are working parallelly with kidneys, understood. So, that is what is happening, following which lungs, liver, we have skin, large intestine. These are the accessory organs which we have and they are functioning very well. Starting with lungs. Lungs regularly eliminate about 18 liters of carbon dioxide. So, you might think you have heard lungs being the respiratory system of the body and they give out carbon dioxide. So, they are giving out carbon dioxide itself is a product which is not required by the body. Okay. So, if that is so excess in the body, the carbon dioxide, and it is given out of the body through a system, we cannot call that system as excretory system, but we can call that organ as an excretory, accessory excretory organ. Okay. So, because a significant amount of water in the form of water vapor is also given out. Okay. Apart from that, there are various other volatile substances would be given out of the lungs. Then we have skin. So, human skin possesses two types of glands. Can you name them, children? There are two types of glands present in the skin. Okay, correct. So, first one you say okay, we have sweat glands, fine. What next we have? Sebaceous glands, okay, correct. So, sweat and the sebaceous glands. So, starting with the sweat glands, if you see, sweat glands secrete a watery fluid, okay. That is what we call naturally as sweat. So, you understand that this is mainly done to for the process of perspiration which makes our body cool after we sweat. So, sweating is not only for cooling, but also to get rid of some of the wastes. Certainly, you all have unintentionally you might have tasted the sweat. That is quite simple to understand because it contains salt, it has urea along with lactic acid. So, there are so many salts are present in the sweat, urea is present, lactic acid is also given out, especially water is given out. Okay. So, that is the reason why it is having that fluid nature. So, it is not only to make your body cool, but also to get rid of these salts from the body. So, all alone your kidneys cannot do the complete excretory functioning, even your body has to have an additional backup in order to do it, because these wastes what is released by the skin wherever source it is getting from may not be have access to the kidneys. So, there is an accessory excretory system in the body like lungs here and the skin here, which is consisting of sweat glands to give out this waste. Following which sebaceous glands. Sebaceous glands eliminate certain substances like sterols, hydrocarbons, waxes through the sebum. Do you know sebum? That is the sebum I am speaking about. So, that is actually your age, this is the age where you sense a whole lot of oily patches on your skin or lot of oil coming out of your skin, isn't it? And the wax inside the ear. That is all about the sebum which is released by these glands, sebaceous glands, right. This secretion provides a protective oily covering to the skin. So, what oily you are thinking is not so good, it is so nasty, that is what you think, like it is not so good you think, that is actually given out of the body in order to protect the skin. It provides protection. How do you think it provides us protection? Any guesses? Correct, some of you are dropping it correctly. So, there are several pores on the skin, right. So, when there are different pores on the skin, certainly you can expect any foreign body can enter through pores. There is a possibility, isn't it? Now, if that can happen, certainly there is a possibility of that. So, that is why you see through these pores, sweat glands are arranged around them, you have the sebaceous glands also arranged them. So, you have to understand that releases some oily substance, okay. That releases some oily substance, make sure it forms a protective covering on the skin. So, when it is forming the protective covering on the skin, that makes sure whatever foreign substance trying to enter through pores would be trapped inside that oily substance. That is exactly happens inside the ears also. Our eardrum is very sensitive, okay. You might have experienced it while you trying to clean your ears, using the earbuds we often use, right. So, if you try to use that to clean your ears, accidentally if you are touching the eardrum, you would sense that you will be having a unbearable pain just for the touching it, right. Now, if you have to avoid it, that is very much important. So, that is one good reason why earbuds are not advisable for usage. Now, if something can enter there inside the ears and mess up with our eardrum, and if it is so serious, then we would end up losing our life, or sometimes even we lose our balance, or at most we can lose our hearing also. Now, even inside the ear we have that wax. So, when something is trying to enter inside the ear, for example, a very small insect trying to enter inside the ear, let us say. Now, that oily substance or the wax, what I am referring, that insect would actually get trapped inside that wax and will not be allowed to go further, right. So, that is what happens. So, that is why that wax is available, that is why everything released by that sebaceous glands. Now, you see the liver is the largest gland, even the liver is functioning here as an excretory organ, accessory excretory organ. It contains spleen, and that is where our RBC gets, it is the graveyard of the RBC that get deposited. Now, the dead RBCs which are going to the spleen would have the hemoglobin in the decomposed form, because the RBCs are dead. So, certainly the hemoglobin would be decomposed, and that what now decomposed would be used by the liver to produce bile pigments, biliverdin, bilirubin. Now, that liver would be giving out the bile juice into the gallbladder, and that gallbladder would release the bile juice into the duodenum, that is where the complete digestion occurs, you know that. So, one way it is not only making the bile juice, it is also removing the wastes from its spleen and dumping it in the duodenum, so that the very same waste that is helping in digestion of fats, proteins and various other things, okay, that will be excreting cholesterol, degraded products of steroid hormones and certain vitamins and drugs. So, bile is produced, there is one good reason to digest the fats or emulsification of fats, but there is more than that it is doing. It is actually trying to give out cholesterol, degraded products of the hormones and certain vitamins and drugs filtered from the liver. See how sophisticatedly it is designed, right. So, that is what we need to have it here. So, this is why it is also an accessory organ. Following which we have the large intestine. Okay. So, whatever food we consume, it has to pass to the organic, through it. Okay. So, the waste materials passed through the large intestine are actually the feces. What does they contain? They contain a whole lot of the undigested food, and there is a regulation for that which help in internal and external sphincters through the anus. So, anus is also having a regulators, external sphincter and internal sphincter, in order to regulate the movement of undigested food, that is what is feces. So, this is how the large intestine also acts as an accessory excretory organ. So, hope you understood this session. Now, here I would like to recollect the topics what we have learnt. So, we try to explore the structure of the human excretory system. Of course, there was a labeled structure, and then we looked at the dimensional and morphological analysis of the human kidney. So, how big it is, what is the shape of it, where does it find, and all those details. And we try to look inside the parts of the kidney, how it is having those parts arranged within itself and what are their functioning. So, in brief we had an understanding of that, following which we looked at the additional parts of the human excretory system, starting with ureter, urinary bladder and urethra. Later we had a brief understanding on the structural and functional unit of kidney, that is nephron. You have seen inside the pyramid how they are arranged within themselves. Finally, we have seen the functioning of the accessory excretory organs working parallelly with the kidneys, that is large intestine, lungs, kidney, liver, skin and all those parts, right. So, hope you understood this session. So, let us finish this session. Looking forward to have you in the upcoming sessions. Thank you.